everyone, my name's Hazel and I'm an author and a PhD student, and in today's video I am going to be ranking from best to worst, I guess, of all of the episodes in Miraculous Ladybug Series 2. So I've already ranked all of the Series 1 episodes. I'll leave a link to it in the card above as well as in the description box. I really enjoyed doing it because I had to rewatch the entire first series again. So over the Christmas break I watched Series 2 of Miraculous Ladybug on 1.5 speed on Netflix, which was great fun. It took me about 3 days to watch all of it, and I think overall Series 2 is a much better series than Series 1. It was actually really tricky to rank them. So when I was ranking them, because I am a writer, how well written something is does kind of play into my enjoyment of something. Like, I can think something's good, but I'm like, oh, it's not very well written though. But it's just what I do. It's what I'm like. So there are a lot of episodes in Series 1 of Miraculous that I didn't really enjoy that much because the writing was just a bit off. A lot of Miraculous Ladybug Series 1 had a lot of episodes that were hits, but also a lot of episodes were misses. I would say it's like about 70% of the episodes in Series 1 are really good, but then 30%, quite a big chunk, aren't so great in Series 1. As for Series 2 though, there are only really 2 episodes that aren't that good, to be honest, which are the bottom 2. Those are not great, but the rest of them are really solid. So I'm just looking at the ranking list I have, and I haven't changed my mind. I agree with it right now. I plotted it out yesterday where I wanted everything to go, and I did move a few things around, but I am happy with it at the minute. However, when I edit this video, I may change my mind where I've put something, or maybe just in a couple of weeks or a couple of months or whatever, I will have changed my mind, because I feel like a lot of the places I've put these episodes in are purely down to my own enjoyment of the episode, because the writing for all of them is solid. I do feel like what your favourite episode is in Series 2 is probably kind of down to just which one you enjoyed the most, because apart from the bottom 2 they are all really solid episodes. So if you don't agree with me, please check the description box, or maybe I'll put it in a pinned comment if I might have changed my mind. And if you really don't agree with me, have an argument with me in the comments, because you might be able to change my mind. So yeah, I'm happy with it at the minute, but Series 2 of Miraculous Ladybug is really good. I think it's been a while since I've rewatched Series 3, but from what I remember of Series 3, I think I enjoyed this series more. So Series 2 of Miraculous is definitely the best so far. So I'm really excited for this video, and let's get started. Okay, so the worst episode of Series 2, and when I say worst, like, it's not that bad, it's not horrendous, it's just definitely not as good as the rest of them. The worst episode is Santa Claus. Now technically Santa Claus is part of Series 2 of Miraculous, even though it aired on its own between Series 1 and Series 2 at Christmas. It aired at Christmas alone. I don't think Series 2 started until the year afterwards. But it's still technically classed as Series 2, it's part of Series 2. It says both on the Miraculous Ladybug Wikipedia page and the wiki page, Santa Claus is technically the first episode of Series 2. However, Santa Claus isn't actually on Netflix with the rest of Series 2. The Collector is listed as the first episode. I had to watch Santa Claus online on YouTube because they don't have it on the UK Netflix anyway. So I've only actually seen this episode once because, like I said, it's not on Netflix. I usually forget that it exists, but I remembered for this one, and I didn't remember it being that bad. But let me tell you, if you haven't seen it in a while, or if you've never seen it, because I know a lot of Miraculous fans don't know it exists, which is probably for a very good reason, it's worse than I remember, much worse. And the reason I just don't like it is, first of all, it's hard to take it seriously. I get that it's a Christmas episode, I'm trying to take that into consideration. Christmas specials of TV shows are usually more fun and light-hearted. Not that Miraculous is super serious, but it was definitely not the same kind of... It had the same tone, it just wasn't the same as the rest of the show. But I didn't think it was a terrible episode. We get to see Ladybug make a mistake in thinking that Santa's already akumatized, and then she rectifies this mistake. I actually mentioned in my Series 1 ranking about how everyone goes on and on about how Marinette's such a bad character and that she you know, doesn't care about anyone else, she only cares about Adrian. She's a terrible ladybug and that she makes a lot of mistakes and does nothing to rectify them. Every single time Marinette makes a mistake in series 2, she solves it, whether as herself or as Ladybug or as a mixture of both. She takes all of her mistakes on board and she works to solve them. So maybe series 3 is a series where Marinette does absolutely nothing to rectify her mistakes, but all the way through series 2 she sorts everything out. So series 2 Marinette, I loved, she was great. The best part of this episode was when Gabriel was like, oh yes, and I've been akumatized into the Easter Bunny. Solid line, I'd love to see him as the Easter Bunny. But it was an okay episode, it's just the second-hand embarrassment is what made it the last on the list. Like maybe the songs sound better in French, I don't know. I'm assuming they were initially wrote in French and then someone obviously will translate that to English and the rest of the languages the episode was translated into. But yeah, maybe it's better in French, the language it was intended to be listened to in. So up next, just slightly better than Santa Claus, is the first episode, the actual first episode of series 2, The Collector. As episodes go in Miraculous, it is an okay episode. There's nothing... Well, I mean, it's a big episode in that we do get confirmation that, spoilers, Gabriel is Hawkmoth, if you didn't already know that. I do feel like it's kind of obvious from series 1, but I didn't know until I watched this episode. I was like, oh, is he really? Because I just didn't draw the connection of how he looks, because a lot of his face is covered. Like with Marinette and Adrian, it's only the eye section, but like Hawkmoth has like the majority of his head covered, if not all of his head covered. I can't even remember what it looks like. I've just watched an entire series. I don't remember what Hawkmoth looks like. Wow. Well done, Hazel. Well done. So whilst it was a big episode in terms of what was revealed, and whilst I can kind of see why they chose to do that for the series 2 opening, they decided to reveal all of those things, which I really like. It was, in that sense, the information revealed, a good episode to start the series on. It also was kind of a bit of a lackluster and boring episode, to be honest. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It was just a bit like underwhelming, I guess, for an episode where you're finding out like definite confirmation, even if you already kind of knew. This is a definite confirmation episode of who Hawkmoth is. It was quite a bit underwhelming, to be honest. However, that being said, I do feel like the episode had a really good start to it, with Marinette going to see Master Fu after what happened at the end of Vulpina, at the end of series 1. And I feel that the way Gabriel kind of akumatized himself was a really clever idea to get Ladybug off the scent of him. And we also got to see a really good few moments between Adrian and his dad, that despite everything his dad says, or doesn't say to Adrian rather, because he just kind of ignore him, Adrian still really cares for his dad. There were so many really good moments in the episode, but just the way it was executed was just a bit bland and boring. Like if you watch it again, it's just really underwhelming. Like this episode, if it was just written a bit better so it wasn't so boring, it would have been so much higher on the list, just because of all the amazing things we find out in this episode and all the really good moments we get to see. Sorry, the cat has joined me, but up next is Robustus. Now, I did forget this episode had existed, but I don't think it was a terrible episode. It was alright, it was good. It was one of the weaker episodes of the series, but I really enjoyed it. So the main issue, not that it's really an issue to be honest, is Markov, which is Max's little computer friend thing, robot thing, I don't know, was the one being akumatized. Now everyone seemed to like Markov straight away, so we had some attachment to him as a viewer, but then we never get to see Markov again. Like you see Markov in the background of series 2 and he'll just be, you know, chilling with Max, but he doesn't say or do anything else. However, his relationship that's shown with Max in this episode does make you feel sorry for Markov when Mr. Damocles takes him. And honestly, it was just kind of like a wholesome episode, but again, a bit like The Collector, it was kind of a bit boring. It was a bit better than Collector. It was more interesting in that it was a cool idea with Markov being able to get other sentient objects or like electronics under his power. And we also got to see Hawkmoth be attacked in his lair, so we get to see Hawkmoth be vulnerable. and what would happen if Ladybug and Chat Noir eventually managed to break into his lair when they found out who he was. Like, what exactly would happen? It seemed like it would be very dangerous for them to go there. Also, this episode was the episode we found out why Hawkmoth wants the Miraculouses so bad. And honestly, this really should have been established in series 1, because like all of series 1 it was just like, yeah, but why do you want them? Why? Like, why exactly do you want this jewellery so bad? So we didn't find out until this episode, and which was great that we did eventually find out. Robustus is only episode 6 in series 2. It just needed a bit more, you know, oomph to it. It was just like, oh, okay. It just really wasn't hit home about what exactly this can do. I feel like because I'm 24, I know exactly what's going to happen, that Hawkmoth / Gabriel wants to use it to bring his wife back to life. Or actually, I'm not actually sure if she's dead and he wants to bring her back to life, or if she's on the verge of death and he's keeping her alive with the see-through coffin thing he's got going on in the basement, because he's a creepy guy. So I do feel it needed a bit more oomph, but I also thought this episode was a really unique way to do it, because Markov wanted to be human and there would have to be a sacrifice. He wanted to be able to be real friends with Max and stuff like that. I just feel like it needed a bit more behind it. Like, this wish that would be granted if you get the Miraculouses is the whole driving force behind Hawkmoth and his motivation in the show. I just feel like, you know, you could have just pushed it a bit more and maybe mentioned Emily a bit more in this one as well. Up next is Troublemaker, and Troublemaker, if you've forgotten, is the episode where Penny, who is Jagged Stone's assistant, gets akumatized whilst they are at the bakery. Now, I remembered the episode that she did get akumatized. I remembered that from this series, but I was like, I can't remember the circumstances in which she gets akumatized. And at the moment everyone goes into Marinette's bedroom on the ad break, I was like, ah yes, I remember, and I started laughing. Because it's really funny to me. I think it's hilarious, this episode. Like, it was a good episode. There was nothing groundbreaking happening in it, but I mean, I guess there kind of was. Again, this is just down to personal preference, because all these episodes from here on out are all written really, really well, to be honest. So we don't really have much attachment to Penny going into this episode. We see her once or twice in series 1, but I don't think she says anything, or if she does, she doesn't say a great deal. I guess there is a pivotal, well, there are 2 pivotal moments in this episode. First of all, when Penny nearly takes out Ladybug's earrings, so that was like, I nearly screamed when I saw that for the first time. And also right at the end of the episode when Marinette is sneaking into school because she doesn't want Adrien to see her after what was revealed on the show, and he meets her by the lockers, and he has a bit of a, what I would call a Chat Noir moment. We see a lot of Ladybug in Marinette when she's just being Marinette, but we don't really ever get to see Chat Noir in Adrien when he's being Adrien. So that was really cool to see. Maybe I should have put this higher. Like I said, I'll probably rethink this a bit when I'm editing, but at the minute, it's going here. Because it's not the most memorable episode, because we don't have much attachment to Penny. However, because of how she takes care of Marinette, and also because I think she's probably in love with Jagged, or at least has some feelings for him, we do have some sort of attachment to her when she is akumatized. But it's not my favourite Akuma in the world as well. It's not the best one, I don't think. Up next is Maledictator, and actually I think this one will probably go underneath Troublemaker. I think I want to switch those around. Just because, I'm not sure why I've put it this high. We're high, we're still quite low on the list. But I don't feel bad for the mayor getting akumatized. He and his wife have raised Chloe to be this way, to be this spoiled brat, essentially, which is the reason why he gets akumatized, so I don't feel bad for him in the slightest. So even though the mayor has been in Miraculous sporadically throughout both series, we don't really have much of a relationship with him, but we know who he is. I generally just see him as someone kind of funny, to be honest. But I don't feel sorry for him in the slightest. Like, this whole situation is his own doing. However, we do get a bit of Chloe's redemption. So yeah, I'm going to move those around. I'm going to put Maledictator below Troublemaker and Troublemaker where this one goes, I think. I think that's better. Up next is Gigantititan? Gigantititan? I don't know how to say it. It's the one where Baby August gets akumatized. Now first off, let me just say, Baby August is adorable. Oh my gosh, so adorable. He's so cute. However, like a lot of the Akumas further down on this list, we have no attachment to August the baby. I guess the same way when Gabriel gets akumatized. Like, yeah, we know he's Adrian's dad. And we also now know he's Hawkmoth. But we have no emotional attachment to him. Like, why should we care that he's been akumatized, you know? But this episode, again, there's nothing groundbreaking. It was just a nice, good, wholesome episode. And me just wondering why the girls make some of the decisions they do. Like, first of all, where did they get that parking sign from? Like the Sabrina somehow managed to nick it and give it to them? I don't know. Second of all, why didn't they just give each other different code names so Rose wouldn't be getting confused? And why do they need code names in the first place? Adrian got nowhere near any of them. He didn't need to know, and like they could have just been like, oh hey, we're all hanging out with each other, like I don't know. But the gorilla was so wholesome, the way he smiled at Adrian. The gorilla and Natalie, they're the real MVPs of Miraculous. I should probably stop calling him the gorilla. I always call him the gorilla because of the gorilla episode of this series. Just call him his bodyguard. I'm sorry, I just call him the gorilla. It's like a habit I've gotten into. So up next is Captain Hardrock, and of course Captain Hardrock, the one aboard the boat during the music festival, is the first episode we get to see Luca, who is Marinette's love interest. Like, it pains me to see them together, I'll be honest. I am an Adrianette shipper through and through. I have been since the first episode. I still am now, after being heartbroken at the end of series 3 and then whatever actually happened in the New York special between them. I haven't rewatched that one in a while, but I do have a whole video on the New York special, so maybe I should go and rewatch that one myself as well. But yeah, it was the first Luca episode, and the way he was introduced into the show with the guitar on the bed was just kind of cringy, you know? However, despite the cringe, I did feel like akumatizing the ship rather than a person was a cool way to go. Well, I guess it's kind of akumatizing them both, but the akumatized object was the whole ship and not just like, it's just something fairly small. I kind of liked that idea about it. And also Officer Raincompre, the absolute gem. He's like the understated gem of Miraculous Ladybug. Officer Raincompre, the gorilla, Natalie, and Mr. Banana. Absolute gems. Like, they're so cute. I love them all. He was so cute when I was like his pedalo, and then there's all his like rubber dink trying to get to the boat to tell him to be quiet. Then the line from the show, I wrote it down. It's a music festival, not a noise festival. As an autistic person who doesn't like loud noises, I love this line. I was like, thank you, Officer Raincompre. It's also a funny line, I think, for people who aren't autistic as well. You don't have to be autistic to find this funny. I thought it was a good line. Up next is Befana, and this of course is Marinette's birthday. Now I have one question to ask about Marinette's birthday. First of all, when is it? And second of all, sorry, I have 2 questions to ask. No wait, 3. When is Adrian's birthday? Third question, why didn't Adrian receive the Kwame thing of Plague? Is it because Tiki's been with Marinette for a while now? It kind of leads me to believe Adrian's birthday, Adrian's the older one between the two, and his birthday is closer to the start of the school year, whereas Marinette's is closer to the end of the school year. But apart from the Christmas episode, time doesn't really seem to exist in the Miraculous universe in terms of a calendar year. In terms of a day, time exists, but a calendar year time does not exist. I thought it was a really clever way to show Marinette's relationship with her family members, particularly her grandma, her nana. I don't really know, to be honest. I think it was her grandma, right? It's Tom's mum, so her grandma. And I also thought it was really clear that Tom and Sabine also kind of ship Adrian and Marinette, which I absolutely live for. Thank you, Tom and Sabine, you are wonderful parents. However, I just have to ask, when they were all in the park and all of her friends were defending Marinette, Alia says Marinette isn't a liar. And she says it with quite a lot of conviction. It's obvious she believes that. So if you're so certain that Marinette isn't a liar, why do you never believe her against what Lila says? Why do you always take Lila's side and say Marinette is lying and just being jealous? It's a bit of a plot hole, but I just thought it was interesting to bring up. I guess we could say this kind of speaks to how manipulative Lila is, if that's something Alia really believes, and Alia just seems to magically forget whenever Lila's around. Yeah, I don't really know what to make of it, but I thought it was interesting to bring up. I don't particularly think it's a plot hole necessarily, but Alia obviously believes Marinette to be a good person and to not lie, unless she had probably a good reason for it. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think? I brought it up, what do you think? Let me know. Up next is Zombie Zoo, and this is kind of more of a weaker episode. Like, Madame Bustier is lovely. She's lovely. I love her. We must protect her at all costs. She is wonderful. So it's definitely not my favourite episode, but I do like Madame Bustier. and it is kind of a funny episode, so I do kind of like it for that. And also Marinette as Ladybug got to not only deck Chloe, but she got to flip her on her back, which, you know, it's something she probably wants to do in real life as well. So I was dead happy for her, you know. Like, Chloe was an absolute pain in this episode. However, series 2 was very good for Chloe redemption arc, which was completely thrown out the window. Series 3 finale, but series 2 was very good for Chloe's redemption. She did a lot of redeeming herself, which was all for nothing because she completely messed it up for the series 3 ending. Hey, thanks Chloe. But I did kind of like the way, I'm not a big fan of like zombie films, zombie TV shows, but I did like the way I did like how they were working their way through Paris and like getting and like sliding down the roof of the school, then into a bus and then up the Eiffel Tower. They're all kind of going through what would happen from what I have seen from zombie apocalypse TV shows and films. So it was kind of like Miraculous's take on The Walking Dead for children, but in Paris. So it was a really cool idea to see. However, it was like, none of them are ready for this. These are children, they are not prepared for a zombie apocalypse. But the zombies were kissing people, not killing people, so yeah. However, at the end, oh my gosh, there was such a cute Myvan moment, which is Milan and Ivan. So part of being under Zombie Zoo's like spell, whatever, they would kiss people, just like on the cheek or whatever. And Ivan and Milan, right at the end before the Miraculous Ladybug, were just sat cuddled on each other's laps in the park, kissing. And then the ladybugs passed over everyone and they kissed again. It was just so sweet to show. It was just really sweet to show. I really like Milan and Ivan. I think most people do. They're really cute shit for Miraculous. So it was a good episode. Nothing amazing happened, but it was well written and it was quite funny as well. Up next is Catalyst, which I guess is kind of low on this list for one of the series finale episodes. And the reason it's here is because, so last time Origins and Stoneheart, if you haven't seen the video I won't spoil it for you where I put them, but Origins and Stoneheart are both really good episodes and they both have their own stories inside. And also in series 2 we got the Queen's Battle part 1 and part 2, and both episodes had their standalone stories. However, Catalyst and Mayura, which are part 1 and part 2 of Heroes Day, not much really happened in Catalyst. So Nestle got akumatized and they let out the red butterflies and everyone else got akumatized. But there was no real contained plot on its own. It was more of setting up for Mayura, and whilst there's nothing technically bad about that because Miraculous is a kids show, they only have 20 minutes to play with, there's only so much they can do within 20 minutes, whilst I get that, nothing really happened. So it wasn't a bad episode from a writer's standpoint. It was written fine, it was fine, it was nice to see Adrian rugby tackle Marinette to the floor. That's what we live for here. It was definitely more of a exposition episode getting ready for Mayura, so maybe I should have put Catalyst a bit lower than what I have put it. I'm not sure. I'm happy with it where it is at the minute, but it was technically like a exposition episode, but there was some funny moments with like the faces Adrian and Marinette were making at Lila when she was talking to the class, and then when the fake Ladybug and Chat Noir, when Ladybug murdered him, you know, that was it was good to see, But yeah, it was alright. It was alright. I think I should have put this lower. Up next is Glaciator, or Glaciator. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. They didn't really say it that much in the episode that I remember. I would say Glaciator, as in like the start of the word glacier. However, it's about ice cream, and ice cream in French is crème de la glace, so glace being the ice part. So I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I thought it was a pretty good episode, you know. The way they have to go around Paris looking at like hints online to find Andre was a really cool construct for the show. I really enjoyed that about it. And it was also nice to see Chat Noir being more vulnerable, I guess. I don't mean that in a bad way, like we got to see that more vulnerable side of him where Ladybug was concerned. However, we did get to see the strength of Marinette's feelings for Adrian. It's not just some silly crush she has on him, she does truly, I would arguably say, love Adrian maybe at this point. I personally would. Maybe you don't think a 14-year-old can be in love, but I would say it does come across as presenting as if she does love Adrian. But we also get to see how much Marinette trusts Chat Noir out of her costume, and we also get to see how much Adrian does like Marinette as well, obviously just as a friend. However, I do have to ask, Adrian took the gorilla, he made him drive all the way to find Andre to get him ice cream, and then he didn't get the gorilla some ice cream. Like, I know, like, with the rules of the ice cream that would mean Adrian and the gorilla are gonna get together, but like, you could have got him some ice cream. Like, get some ice cream. I don't know, but yeah, it was a nice, sweet episode. We got to see a new dynamic to the Love Square, which was pretty cool. But I just hope, like, the importance of the ice cream, it's not going to come back to bite all the characters, because at the end of series 3, Luca and Marinette share an ice cream. And so do Adrian and Kagami. I'm hoping it's just something like a silly thing in the show. But like Tom and Sabine at the start of the episode were like, oh, that's why your dad proposed to me, we get ice cream there together all the time and we're going to be together forever. And I'm like, shut up, Sabine, shut up. Because Adrian and Marinette haven't shared an ice cream there yet. It's starting to get to me now. I know it's going to be a while for series 4, but it's getting to me now, alright. Up next is Prime Queen, which is the episode where Nadia, the TV show host, and also Manon's mum, so Manon being the little girl Marinette babysits for, she gets akumatized Nadia. It was a really cool episode in that she was going to interview Ladybug and Chat Noir and quiz them about the kiss, which was quite interesting that Chat Noir didn't know about it, but I guess if he knew about it he would be bringing it up all the time if he remembered, but obviously he doesn't remember, so I guess that's cool as well. I thought it was a really interesting idea for an Akuma in the way that Prime Queen could like go through the screens and get them. I thought that was really cool, and it was also really well executed. I don't particularly have anything bad to say about this episode, it was really good. Up next is Anansi, which is the episode where Ali's older sister Nora gets akumatized. Now first of all, Nora is really annoying. I don't really like her as a character. I don't feel bad for her when she gets akumatized. However, this is of course the episode where Nino gets to use his Miraculous, the Turtle Miraculous, for the first time. It was really well executed in how he feels really useless and that he can't save Alia, but then he learns how to, even though he couldn't in his normal human form. It was a really cool episode and we got to see that. And it was also kind of funny, like Nora, when she arrived, she called Marinette Baguette, Nino Cappy, and then Adrian Cell Phone Boy, like, amazing nicknames. I wonder what my nickname would be from her. It was also really good to see Chat Noir not being stupid. A lot of people think he's stupid and useless. Like, I'm always like, no he's not. Ladybug is in charge and Ladybug knows what she's doing, and further than that, Chat Noir knows that Ladybug knows what she's doing, so he just leaves her to it and lets her be in charge. Like, it would be stupid, it would be more stupid of him to start trying to be in charge when Ladybug is the one in control, you know? Like, he knows that. He's not going to try and question it. It's like, yeah, she's better than me, so I'm going to let him do it. He's not stupid because he lets her be in charge, you know? So we got to see him like hold his own a bit in this episode whilst Ladybug went off to get the Miraculous from Master Fu. And I will always want to see Master Fu do the same transformation that Nino does for the Turtle Miraculous. However, considering this was the episode that Nino and his Miraculous got introduced in, it wasn't an amazing introduction for him, so which is why this episode isn't any higher on the list. It was an okay episode. Up next is Sapati, and I think that's the way I'm pronouncing it. And this is the episode where Alia's younger twin sisters get akumatized, Ella and Etta, and by the way, don't watch this episode at 1.5 speed because Etta and Ella's voice, it's the same person I think, is very, very, very annoying at 1.5 speed. I didn't notice it when I watched it on normal speed the first time I watched this episode, but on 1.5 speed, they're incredibly annoying. So Sapatis is based, apparently the like little demons they turn into, they kind of look like demons to me, is based on a Creole legend. I know nothing about Creole legends. I don't know if it's accurate, but if it's accurate then this was a great way to use the legend. It'd be kind of cool to see if there are any, I don't know if there are any like urban legends in France, I don't know about any of them, but it maybe would be cool to see someone in the show get akumatized into one of them. But I thought it was a really cool idea with the two akumas, as in two people getting akumatized at the same time, even if it was into the same thing rather than two different things, but I thought it was a cool idea, and it's the first time it happens, I'm pretty sure. I think we see it a couple of times in series 3, but this is the first time in the show where it happens for two people at the same time. However, saying that, because of the nature of the akumatization, it was kind of tricky to solve, and the solution they came up with for it was just a bit weird. I'm still not completely sold on it. It was just a bit convoluted. It's like, okay, so this is why this one is a low on the list, because of the way the Akuma was solved. It was just a bit odd, to be honest. However, all that being said, this episode did give me the feeling that Alia is going to find out who Ladybug is soon. And I think she'll be fine with it, don't get me wrong, I think she'll be fine. But I did feel like she's going to find out soon, because just because Marinette, I don't feel like she can do this all on her own. It's going to be interesting to see how she fares in series 4 now that Master Fu is gone and she's the guardian of the Miraculouses. And whilst I do trust Marinette and I do feel she is responsible, it's just nice to have someone you can talk to about this. Like, we all saw how frustrated Adrian was getting because he was being left in the dark all the time. And whilst Marinette isn't left in the dark, she's gonna be on her own with this to deal with. Like, the only person she's gonna have to deal with it isn't a person, it's Tiki. And I guess she can talk to the other Kwame since she'll have the miracle box now. But she's still gonna be on her own. So either she like patrols with Chat Noir more and we get to see a developing friendship between them, or more development in their friendship, I guess, since they are already friends. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Up next is Queen Wasp, which is part 2 of the Queen's battle in the middle of the series. And this is when Chloe gets akumatized for the 2nd time. So she takes the beam Miraculous, and after she causes an accident so she can help out and solve it and become this great hero, Ladybug calls her out on it and she gets akumatized. So first of all, it was cool to see someone get akumatized from the Miraculous rather than just another object, because obviously Ladybug and Chat Noir and Carapace and Rena Rouge, whose episodes I believe, oh no wait, Carapace is after this one, but the Rena Rouge episode had already passed, so it's interesting to see someone get akumatized from their Miraculous. However, Marinette made an interesting point and she said that Miraculouses are indestructible. So first of all, what happened in Tibet? Did all the Miraculouses actually disappear then in the accident? Because if they're indestructible, surely they should have been fine. I don't know. And second of all, if the Miraculouses are indestructible, how is the peacock brooch broken? I don't know the answers to these questions. I'm just putting them out there. How? I don't understand. It's not really a plot hole, but it's just like, doesn't quite make sense, you know? However, I did kind of enjoy this episode for the moment, first of all, between Gabriel and Marinette. I don't think it'll happen since he's an adult, but I kind of want Gabriel at the end of this, when he's no longer Hawkmoth, because we know from Time Tagger in series 3 that he's no longer Hawkmoth in the future. So I kind of want him to be redeemed, because I do feel like him and Marinette would have a really good relationship. They seem like they kind of get on well together, you know? And honestly, I don't feel sorry for Gabriel in the slightest. That is like, oh, I've given up, like I have to give up now because I failed and Style Queen was gonna be my masterpiece. I don't feel sorry for him in the slightest. However, that Gabe Nath moment though, Gabriel and Natalie, oh my gosh, I love Gabriel and Natalie together. That's another reason why I want him to be redeemed, because I want him to date Natalie. Up next is Riposte, and I think it's pronounced like that. Maybe I'm wrong, it might be Riposte maybe? I know nothing about fencing, I'm assuming it's like something to do with fencing. I don't actually know anything about fencing though, so please correct me if you want to fence. The opening off to this episode was hilarious. Adrian and Marinette fencing together was so funny, and the line that still gets me, even though I'm 24 and I wouldn't call myself immature, I wouldn't describe myself like that. Adrian's like, you have to touch Marinette, and she's like, touch you? She laughs. I still find that really funny. And D'Argencourt, the fencing teacher, he is still one of the funniest characters in Miraculous Ladybug. Darkblade was hilarious with him in it, and I wish he was in Miraculous more, because he is so funny. I'm not kidding, he is hilarious. The only thing about this episode is that I wish Kagami had, you know, been akumatized, and then she was like, you know what, France is too dangerous for me to live in. I'm gonna move back to Japan. And then we never saw her again. And then everything was fine and miraculous. That's what I wanted to happen. Did it happen? No. But that's what I wanted to happen. I still don't like Kagami. And I'm thinking of making an entire video about it, because I just don't have enough time to explain in these videos. I need to get through the episodes, not talk about why I dislike Kagami so dang much. Like, it's not the time. Speaking of Kagami, up next is Froza, which is the episode where the ice skating man called Philippe, I think, gets akumatized. So this episode, I'm not really sure why I've put it this high, because I don't enjoy it in the slightest. So if you don't remember this episode, Kagami tells Adrian that in fencing, the technique is always right, but you're focusing on the wrong target, so you need to change your target. And they're talking about it in the sense of romance. So he's like, okay, Ladybug doesn't love me, I need to change my target to Kagami. And he asked for Marinette's advice on what he should do. And Marinette, and the way she fumbles, accidentally ends up telling him, you should take her to the ice rink. But Adrian isn't sure he wants to go on his own, so Marinette says, I will go with you. And then she invites Luca, so they go on a double date to the ice rink. Which is, you know, great. But the reason I don't enjoy this episode is partly because of the relationships in it and the double date. But it's really hard to watch me because I can blatantly see that Adrian has feelings for Marinette. Even though Kagami to me is very rude and very terse and I don't like her in the slightest, Adrian obviously doesn't seem to find that a problem for whatever reason, I don't know. He doesn't seem to have a problem with it. But it's just obvious to me that Adrian, whether or not he wants to admit it, I really don't care at this point. It is blaringly obvious that he has feelings for Marinette, and it's really hard to watch him be with another girl when it's quite obvious what he feels. Like, it's getting a bit stupid to me at this point. Like, series 2, okay, I can kind of get why they haven't said, oh yeah, Adrian does like Marinette yet. That's fine, I can kind of abide by that. But by the end of series 3, and then in the New York special, when he's still not realising it, it is kind of becoming painful to watch him not know. You know what I mean? Like, maybe if you don't agree with me, maybe if you're Adrian and Kagami shipper, that's fine. But to me, as someone who like writes fan fiction that is based on romance all the time, I'm pretty good at spotting like obvious chemistry and feelings in TV shows, not in real life. I'm terrible in real life. I haven't ever been able to work out if a boy likes me. Even when I had a boyfriend in high school, I didn't even know when he was flirting with me. So yeah, I'm terrible at it in real life, but on TV shows, cartoons or humans, I'm really good at it. So it's really hard to watch for me from that perspective. To me, Marinette is just an infinitely better person than Kagami, and I thought she handled this episode and the situation in it, as in with Kagami and Adrian, really maturely. Like, she could have done something, she could have like plotted a bit like she tries to do in the episode in series 3 where Thomas Astrup gets akumatized. She could have done that, but I thought she handled this situation quite maturely, to be honest. And even though I don't ship Luca with Marinette, I do think they are quite sweet together, but I do kind of see Luca as more of a older brother to Marinette. They're a cute couple, but there's nothing interesting or exciting in their relationship. He's just kind of there, and he's nice. But it doesn't add anything to the show, it's just like, oh, okay. Overall, this episode was just looked very pretty with the ice. I know nothing about animation and art like that, so I can't critique it from that perspective, but I do think it looked really nice. But I just have to question at the end when Kagami's like, when you change your mind, I'll be waiting, when she says to Adrian about that. And I'm just like, why would you knowingly want to be second? Like, no matter how much I liked a guy, if I knew he was with someone else or he had feelings for someone else, I wouldn't want him to pick me because he couldn't be with her. I wouldn't want to be second. I would want to be the person he wanted to be with, not just because he couldn't get the other girl, you know what I mean? So yeah, I do feel like at times Adrian is just with Kagami because of her physical resemblance to Ladybug, because personality-wise she has zero resemblance to Ladybug. This episode was actually really hard for me to watch. I think it should have been lower. I might just swap it out with Catalyst instead. Like, Frozen are in the top 10 now. This is the first episode of the top 10. And I feel like this is the first episode in the top 10 episodes of series 2, and it is a good episode, but I don't find it enjoyable. Like, if you've noticed my tone for this episode that I've been talking, I just got lower and lower, and I physically feel sad now. Like, I don't enjoy this episode in the slightest. Why did I put it at number 10 out of 26? What is wrong with me? Up next at number 9 is going to be Frightening Girl, which is the episode where Clara Nightingale, the singer, gets akumatized after she is told by Chloe she can't shoot her video in Paris or anywhere in France because Chloe isn't picked to play a ladybug in the music video, which is kind of hilarious. And you know, I love the irony in the show, how Adrian is made to play Chat Noir and then Marinette gets picked to play Ladybug. I do think it's funny sometimes, kind of like how it's not quite slapstick, but it's that kind of irony to make it kind of that way. I do think it's kind of funny. And Clara is such a sweet character that even though we haven't really seen her before, she's been mentioned before, but this is the first episode she's been in and she's very sweet and we immediately feel bad for her and the reason why she's getting akumatized. However, so this episode is quite unique in terms of Miraculous in that what people have to do to not be hurt by Clara when she gets akumatized. However, it is kind of annoying with all the rhyming, and I would hate to be any of the people who have to translate this episode into the other languages, because the first person to write this in French must have had a hard time, and anyone else who had to translate it and make sure it rhymed. I can't imagine what the look on their face when they received the script must have been absolute dread and horror. But I did think the dancing animation was really funny in this episode. It just made them look like they needed the toilet constantly. It was really funny. Up next is Despair Bear, and I think this is probably one of my favourite all-time episodes of Miraculous. My best friend, who had already seen Series 1 and Series 2 was already partly on before I started watching the show, she was like, "You're gonna go mental when you see Despair Bear." And she was 5,000% right. I did go mental when I saw Despair Bear for the first time. If you don't know this episode, it's the one where I think it's called Jean-Luc, who is Chloe's servant, member of staff at the hotel, who kind of looks after Chloe as well. He tries to get her to act nice. He tries to get her to act nicer, and she throws a party at the hotel, but she keeps being really rude to her member of staff, I guess. And he gets akumatized through Chloe's favourite teddy bear, which he kind of uses to control her behaviour and to try and make her act good. It was a really cool akumatization, a really unique idea. And also we got a lot of Adrian and Marinette interaction this episode. At the start, when Tom is doing his bakery demonstration and they're all stood outside with the fire captain, who is also hilarious by the way. There's some really nice interaction we got there. And also when they are dancing at the hotel together. Like, a beautiful moment, which is also echoed in the New York special, of course. And I'm like, you can't tell me that Adrian doesn't love her. But overall, it is a really enjoyable episode. Up next is Gorizilla? I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's the one where Adrian's bodyguard, who I call the gorilla all the time, gets akumatized. This is the reason why I call him the gorilla, because of this. I know it's not very nice, but I just call it him. Can someone just give him a name? Like Derek? I don't know. Maybe not Derek, he doesn't really look like a Derek, but just give him a name please. It was a really cool episode and it was kind of like King Kong inspired with the remote controlled helicopter, and it also had a lot of really good and sweet Adrian and Marinette interaction in this episode, with them at the cinema together, in the fountain together, stuff like that. It was really nice and cute, and Adrian didn't seem to mind Marinette being called his girlfriend. When that happens in a TV show, people are usually like, "Oh no, they're not my girlfriend, no, they're not my boyfriend." No one said anything and he was like, "Oh, I think you're my girlfriend now." He didn't even care, which I guess is kind of in keeping with Adrian's character, but you know what I mean. It was really nice and sweet to see. It was also really a cool idea because Hawkmoth at this point suspected that Adrian was Chat Noir, his own son. So this kind of Akuma was as a way to confirm or deny that, in that he got the gorilla to drop Adrian to see if he would transform, but then Ladybug ultimately rescued him. But you got to see the love Hawkmoth had for Adrian. You don't really get to see a lot of interaction between them because of the nature of their relationship and everything that's happened. But it was a really nice way to show the relationship and to show how much Gabriel actually did care for their son. And also just on the subject of Adrian, again, a lot of people say he's useless. In this episode he showed he wasn't useless with the use of, I always forget his name, he's the guy who has brown hair but dresses the same as Adrian, I always forget his name. Adrian thought to use him in this episode to first of all keep his identity and also to stop himself from being hurt as well, which I guess maybe wasn't very nice. But like, he's not stupid, he knows what he's doing. I think Adrian / Chat Noir deserve a lot more credit, to be honest. However, I do feel like this episode highlighted, just to me anyway, just as a speculation, that I do feel that Gabriel is soon gonna find out that his son is Chat Noir. I don't know why, I just feel like he will. But also this episode was really important because I think this is the first time we get to see what's going on in the basement. I think, I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, but I do feel like it was the first episode to do this. And I'm just wondering, out of curiosity, when Adrian signs his fans thing with his email address, I wonder how many people emailed that. I didn't, if that's what you're thinking. I didn't. I said it to my friend as a joke, and I think she took it seriously, but I swear to God I didn't do it. I'm just wondering how many other people did. I didn't do it. I didn't do anything. Okay. I swear I didn't do it. Up next is Style Queen, which is the first part of the Queen's Battle. And I thought this was a really cool episode. We get to see Chloe's mum for the first time, who is kind of styled after Anna Wintour, who is the editor-in-chief of Vogue, I believe. But I did kind of, well, like is the wrong word. I didn't like Chloe's mum, I don't like her very much, but she's a good, strong character. It's obviously where Chloe got her attitude from. It is kind of funny, even though I would never act like that in real life, and I wouldn't want to be around anyone who acts like that either. And even though Chloe misses her mum and she loves her mum, she was on Ladybug's side in this situation, which I think was a really unique way to go. Like I said before, Series 2 Chloe redemption arc is the best. I love Series 2 Chloe. This is the best Chloe we've had. And it was also really cool and unique to see Plag, because obviously Adrian gets captured or whatever by Style Queen. It was cool to see Plag use his like power of destruction raw and what damage he can do / what he did with the dinosaurs and stuff. So it'd be cool to maybe have an episode where Tiki does that, though I'm not really sure how it would work, since I'm not sure Tiki can cast the Miraculous Ladybug or cleanse the Akuma without someone actually using her as a miraculous, you know what I mean? So we're into the top 5 Series 2 episodes, and at number 5 we have Sandboy. And this was a really cool and unique episode in that people's nightmares were the ones being attacked rather than the person themselves. We get to see what each of the characters are truly afraid of. So we have Marinette's fears, Adrian's fears, and then Chat Noir's fears, which are slightly different, which is kind of cool to see how far removed Adrian really is from Chat Noir in that they have different fears, to be honest. And I also really loved all of the Kwamis. They're so cute, and I absolutely adore Plag and Tiki's relationship. They are so adorable. I also ship Plag and Tiki, nobody can stop me, alright? But like, this episode was really good. I have nothing bad to say about it. It was really good. Up next at number 4 in the Series 2 ranking is Dark Owl. So this is when Mr. Damocles, the head teacher of DuPont High School, gets akumatized, and it's kind of like a Batman farce style episode where he has a utility belt and then a computer that talks to him. It was really funny. I really liked it. It kind of reminded me of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy from SpongeBob SquarePants. Don't ask. It was hilarious and really enjoyable, and there was some good foreshadowing with Marinette making the jewellery ahead of time when they had Cardboard Girl. That was really fun. And a bit like in Despair Bear, the first time I saw this episode, I swear to God, nearly screamed at what happens in the storage container. The Kwame's reaction was so cute, but the way both Adrian and Marinette kept their eyes shut was just tantamount to how much they so obviously trust each other. They trust each other with their identities, with their lives. They are amazing. I think they're amazing. It was a hilarious episode. It was really enjoyable. I really like Mr. Damocles. I think he's really funny, but I do feel like it raises the question of why the police don't go after Ladybug and Chat Noir. They must have realised now they are only high school students. They are quite literally children still. So the police were kind of keen to get Mr. Damocles to stop. Is it because Ladybug and Chat Noir have like magic? Or whatever we want to call it? Kwame magic? I don't know. Like, where's the distinction there? Because Mr. Damocles is an adult, he can do what he wants, you know? So, yeah, I don't know, I kind of feel like it might be interesting after what happened in the New York special with the Amok back in Paris. If the police and maybe the public, there might be some backlash against Ladybug and Chat Noir because they failed to save Paris. Up next is Siren, and Siren was the episode where Kim's the girl who likes Kim. I can't remember her name, is it Odine? I'm not sure now, sorry. They don't really say it a lot in the episode, so I'm like, I'm not sure. But she gets akumatized, and I really appreciated this from a writing perspective because I had a really quick start to it. There was no hanging around about this episode. She got akumatized pretty much straight away. I was like, oh, okay, we're doing this right now. Alright, that's fine with me then. And she also did kind of ignore Hulkmoth when she got akumatized. She solely went after Kim, and she only went after Ladybug and Chat Noir when they took Kim from her. She was kind of ignoring him for the most part, which was kind of cool to see. It wasn't really related to the Miraculouses that much, that episode, rather on her desire for Kim, I guess. This was also the first episode of seeing the other more special transformations, and not to be a pessimist, but surely at least one person would have drowned when that happened. Like, if this happened right here where I am in my house, like, I can't get up to the roof on an English house. You can't usually access the roof in an English house. And I also think Adrian and Flag, we saw a really sweet side of their relationship in this. We also got to see Chat Noir have a bit of conflict with Ladybug. We got to see a different side of him and how he feels left out, which I guess is a reflection of Adrian, of how he feels trapped in his civilian life. So I did think that was kind of an interesting perspective to see more of Adrian coming out in Chat Noir. I just want some more of Chat Noir coming out in normal Adrian, to be honest. Up next, number 2, so second to last, the second to best episode on this list is Mayura, which is the series finale of series 2. This is the episode following on from Catalyst, when all the red akumatizations have been sent out and Natalie uses the broken / damaged / whatever's going on with it Peacock Miraculous to help Gabriel because he's in a bit of a sticky situation on the Eiffel Tower with everyone. This episode, it was just a really solid episode for me, to be honest. So it was just really, first of all, it was really good action. I don't know anything about animation, like I said before, or storyboarding or how to plot action like that, but it was also seamless and good, and it was just full of it, you know. It was just really, really good. And this has nothing to do with the writing and stuff, but I loved the sewer jump where they have already used their powers. They go and hide in the sewer. They hide down 2 tunnels, which I think they use the same scene again in the New York special. They hide down these 2 tunnels, recharge, and then they both jump off with their eyes closed. It was a really cool scene. I absolutely love that scene to death. I also really love how everyone kind of clubs together and helps to save Paris, who didn't get akumatized, so they can keep the hope alive so they don't get akumatized either. That was really cool to see. And I thought it was just overall a really good finale episode for series 2. And I don't really understand the amux yet, to be honest, but hopefully with the series 3 episodes, like Miraculous, whatever it's called, where Sabrina gets akumatized, it will make a bit more sense to me, because at the minute I don't really understand it, to be honest. But it was definitely interesting to find out that when Gabriel said, oh, you have to de-transform, where Gabriel was like, oh, you have to go and recharge after you've used your power, so it means when they get older they're gonna have a chance to use 1 more Lucky Charm and 1 more Cataclysm. So I'm excited to see if that's going to happen in series 4, because surely to God they're going to be turning 15 soon. Like I said, the show doesn't really acknowledge time, so I don't know when, but to me, series 1 and series 2 should have been like a full year at school, with Adrian's birthday happening in the bubbler in the first term of the school, split up with the Christmas episode, and then series 2 happening as the second term, as in like January to summertime, with Marinette's birthday some point in there, and then series 3 should have been the first half of the next year at school. But I don't know how it's gonna work. And of course I have to mention the adorable Gabriel and Natalie moment in the finale. So sweet, so cute, I love it. So up next, the final episode that I haven't talked about, and in my opinion, the best episode of series 2 is Reversa, which is the episode where Mark gets akumatized. So this was a really, really well written episode. I love Mark with all of my heart. I want him to marry Nathaniel and have like 20 babies, I don't care. They are so sweet together. I love this relationship, even though Nathaniel is kind of really mean to Mark in this, but they are kind of somewhat sweet together. And also I really liked Alex and Nathaniel's relationship together. We've never really seen them interact together in the show before, but Alex was a really nice addition to this episode, and how she helped Ladybug and Chat Noir at the end, it was really cool. And I really liked the idea of the akumatization. It was great, and Mark is such a great and memorable character. This episode literally had it all. It even had Adrian and Marinette interaction, which was also kind of Chat Noir at times, and also Marinette kind of got to be Ladybug in the way she was helping Mark and that she was taking charge. It was a really solid episode. I also loved the way Mark looked with the paper planes and how like his outfit was made out of paper, because the akumatization was from a notepad. It was a really cool idea linking it back to that. I really liked it. And 100% you cannot convince me anymore when Adrian was stood behind Marinette and he was like, are you spying on people? He was 100% flirting with her. And no, you can't change my mind. I won't be taking constructive criticism on that at this time, or ever, actually. He was flirting with her, they're in love with each other. No one can convince me otherwise. And I'm not sorry about it either. Okay, so that was every single episode in series 2 of Miraculous Ladybug. Let me know what your favourite episode is, what your least favourite episode is from this series. Like I said, as I was going through that, I think I definitely would move Catalyst further down and move Froza further down. Yeah, there's a few. I'll probably put it in the description box or a pinned comment if you're interested to see what I've changed my mind on. But if you really disagree with me, have an argument with me, we'll battle it out. Let me know what your favourite episode is. Try and convince me to move it up further, or try and convince me to move something down lower. But I did really enjoy getting to rewatch all of series 2 for this, even though it was kind of time consuming. So the next Miraculous video will be looking at all the Akuma outfits in the show, or in series 2 I guess at least, and then I will be moving on to the series 3 episodes. And I don't know when I'm going to have time to watch it because it's still kind of the Christmas break and I'm like on a low PhD work week at the minute. So I'm still doing work but it's not that hectic, hence why I could watch all the episodes. So I don't know when I'm going to be able to watch the series 3 episodes. I guess I should probably start now, shouldn't I? Anyway, that is all for today. I hope you all stay safe and you all better have a good day. That was a threat, and I will see you all next time. Bye!